the only thing that could tear down the House of the Dragon was itself.
Hi, hope you guys are doing well. It's time for my review of House of the Dragon Episode 2, The Rogue Prince. And without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. So, it finally happened. We finally got our intro. And what can I say? It was a huge task to try and compete with the old one. I really like that they are using the old theme tune. That is something that I've mentioned time and time again. I think that is a great decision. They are going for a cinematic universe and it's so iconic. I think what they're aiming for here is obviously a nod to Fire and Blood, but also just the Targaryen blood or the blood of the dragon running through ancient old Valyria. I don't think this intro is for people with hemophobia. That could cause some problems, but other than that, I mean, I'm fine with it. It's definitely not better than the old one, let's be real here, but I'm okay with it. We then of course have our first time jump, 6 months, and we cut right back to the small council. I really enjoyed how they were setting up the small council in the first episode. I think they've done a great job when it comes to that, and they did it here as well. Rhaenyra is still a cupbearer and still learning to grow into her role as heir to the Iron Throne, of course. And I think all throughout the episode you can really feel that there's something happening within Rhaenyra. It was also a really good idea to have her be the one to choose Criston Cole to become a Knight of the Kingsguard. This is something that just adds to the drama. Can't wait to see when those guys will hook up, because let's be real, the way they were shooting those scenes, the way they were emphasizing on particular faces they've made, or yeah, it's gonna happen. I think these guys will hook up and we shall see where this is headed afterwards. Another thing that I haven't really talked about for episode 1, but I definitely want to highlight here, is Emily Carey's young Alicent Hightower. She did a phenomenal job in this episode. It's revealed that she's either 14 or 15, and they've done a great job in capturing what a 14 or 15-year-old girl would feel like. I really like the detail with the finger picking. I think it really demonstrates the anxiety that Alicent would have to feel, and it's very realistic. Westeros has always been influenced by real medieval history, and I think they've done a really good job with that in general, all throughout this episode. If you look at what's happening right now, they're all just set pieces in a chess match between the powerful people of Westeros. It becomes really clear when you look at Otto Hightower all throughout the episode. He's putting a lot of pressure on his daughter. And again, this is such a phenomenal idea. If you look at the approach here, House of the Dragon could have started 30 years later, just show the war, have a few scenes that just explain the overall plot, and then just go for the overall battle. That would have been definitely lucrative. I mean, it brings the action. And then they could have wrapped it up and said, yeah, that is the story. But no, they're actually letting us understand everything. How it could have come so far later on. And I really like the change that Alicent and Rhaenyra are both around the same age. And one of my favorite scenes in this episode was definitely the one they had in the Sept. Both lost their mothers. Both were there for each other. This just adds so many layers to what we will see down the line. It's gonna be a sad thing to look back to very soon. I just briefly mentioned her, Laena Velaryon, another set piece in this chess match in the Game of Thrones. And although this was a bit rough to watch, I'm glad that it made it into the episode. I'm glad that they showed how far both Corlys and Rhaenys are willing to go for their ambition. It's a very grey character portrayal. That is what A Song of Ice and Fire is all about. I really like it so far. I think Laena is gonna be a huge badass. She's already talking about Vhagar, and it's gonna be awesome to see her adult version when we get to that very soon. Also, of course, more Corlys in this one. I think the guy who plays him, Steve Toussaint, is a great actor. He has a big presence because, well, compared to the other actors, he's looking like the Mountain. Very big guy. Really enjoyed him in this episode. We're gonna talk about the Stepstones problem later on, so let's focus on his wife, the queen who never was, Rhaenys Targaryen. Another favorite scene of mine in this episode was definitely the one she had with Rhaenyra in the gardens of King's Landing. Eve Best really did a great job here. She kind of brings in Lady Olenna vibes while also showing the Targaryen fierceness of a Targaryen princess, and great job here. I think she actually auditioned with lines from Lady Olenna, and well, yeah, you can clearly see that this cunning older woman side is something that they're definitely aiming for. And I think it translates very well onto the screen, and I really liked it. I really liked how she was lecturing Rhaenyra. It was a big lesson for Rhaenyra, and I think that this is something that will continue all throughout the show. To a certain degree, Rhaenys will definitely know how Rhaenyra feels. She was there, she got rejected at the Great Council. And while, yeah, she destroyed Rhaenyra in that scene, I think it was with good intentions. The next thing I want to mention that I didn't mention in last week's episode review is the detail of Viserys constantly cutting himself on the Iron Throne. I really like it. It's gonna keep continuing, and yeah, the throne is rejecting him, so to speak. Very well done. It seems to accompany all of his decisions. Whenever he's doing something wrong, he seems to cut himself, and I really like that. It's a great little detail. The same thing goes for the Maester conspiracy, because let's be real, it's happening. We were talking about it last week already. I answered a similar question in the episode Q&A. Definitely go check that video out after this one. But yeah, I think we're in for a Maester conspiracy. I think there is a secret alliance between Otto Hightower and Old Town, the Maesters of Old Town. Sure, Grand Maester Mellos was actually approving the Rhaenyra Velaryon marriage pact, but come on, I think that's a front. I think he already knows that Alicent is visiting Viserys all the time. So yeah, I love it. Let's see how far they're willing to go with the conspiracy. Otto is a great manipulator. We're really seeing some shades of Tywin Lannister, one of my favorite characters in Game of Thrones, as well as Littlefinger and Varys in there. Man, Rhys Ifans is one of the best actors of this show so far. Okay, then let's talk about the guy this episode was titled after, Daemon. He stole a dragon egg for Mysaria. Of course, Otto goes there with a few household guards and a few Kingsguard, I think. Yeah, we've definitely seen Harold Westerling and Kristen Cole. And let me just say, Dragonstone is so much better in House of the Dragon than it is in Game of Thrones. Dragonstone, of course, is a volcanic island, and it really feels like a volcanic island in House of the Dragon. It's very much alive, and I really like the sound design. You could always hear the waves at the shores of Dragonstone. Also think the dragons really sounded awesome. And by the way, both Syrax and Caraxes looked very good in this episode. Okay, the confrontation, amazing. I love the back and forth between Daemon and Otto in the first episode. This was on a whole nother level. And I was laughing so goddamn hard when Otto Hightower was saying Mummer's farce. Obviously, if you've been following me and George on the podcast or whatever, we've been joking about this for months and months and months. And man, yeah, this is, George R. R. Martin is definitely involved. Or it was Ryan Condal's way of saying, you know, I'm something of A Song of Ice and Fire fan myself. This feels like George R. R. Martin, as it should. Loved it. One more thing now. Two, actually. Mysaria, not sure yet. Not really feeling her character. She is the most generic out of all of them. But given where she ends up, or what she becomes, this can get better. Still, so far, definitely my least favorite character in this thing. And last but not least, the war for the Stepstones. We're gonna see it next week by the looks of it, and I wasn't expecting that. When they were leaking the official titles for House of the Dragon a month or two ago, King of the Narrow Sea was placed at episode 4. So I thought, well, that is gonna be the episode that we're gonna see the war for the Stepstones in. But anyway, it's coming next week. Really like how they are setting up Craig as Strayhar so far. Think it has horror vibes. Can't wait to see how this unfolds. I thought that this is gonna take up the entire time of one episode. Glad it doesn't. As I said, I'm here for the characters, and if I can have both characters and a battle in one episode, that is the way I prefer it. That is the way I love it. Yeah, all in all, I really, really enjoyed this episode. Once again, a lot of setting up the major themes, a lot of focus on the characters. Overall, it's very gray. Apart from the children, and that's gonna come as well, they're gonna be very gray as well. You can't really pick one character that you should 100% never question any of their actions, and I really like that. I think they're doing a phenomenal job. Once again, everything looked great. As I said, Dragonstone big highlight for me in the episode. Great cinematography there. I love the scenes within the Red Keep. I'm a sucker for that. I love Game of Thrones Season 2 for that exact reason. All of the scenes we have in King's Landing. I was looking forward to episodes just like this. So, rating. What would I give this episode? Once again, I was going back and forth between 7 and 8, but I always make sure to rewatch the episode, and I enjoyed it way more during my second watch, so I'll give it an 8 out of 10 once again. Okay, that is all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, would very much appreciate that. And until then, take care and see us later.